I would like to start from a place where if you like to ask a question, if you have any concern or anything you would like to know, we can start from there, and if you like, so we can go to the Buddha's teaching, to a sutta, and have a look as well. And then meditate for some time. Maybe we can find some time to meditate as well. Yeah, that would be good if you could put them in silence. That's good. Thank you. And so does anyone have any question or anything that you would like to ask?
Keeping the loving kindness in mind. I know that I should also be lovingly kind to myself and to others. How do I draw the line with loving kindness and maintain a balance between being loving and kind to myself and being, at the same time, extending that loving kindness to others?
Very important question. Thanks for asking that, because it's a very good point to start. Now, why do we need love, the kindness? What does it do to us? It makes us feel good, isn't it? Why we need the love and the kindness? It's because it makes us feel good and it makes us feel happy. So in the search for happiness, we are longing for this. Am I right? Because we see these two qualities, the love and that kindness. When it is there, I'm happy. Right. If it was a quality that made us unhappy, we won't be after it. We won't be longing for it. So first we need to ask, first we need to understand that our quest, the longing from the bottom of the heart, is to be happy. So these two qualities makes us happy, so that's why we are going after that. And those are not the only qualities that will make us happy. There is many other varieties of qualities, other things. Like for example, generosity, caringness, compassion, being honest, being so like that. Excuse me. There is 10 qualities called the Dasa Paramitha's. When received or when developed, makes us to be happy. They start with the quality of Dana Paritva, means the generosity, being generous. Instead of becoming a miser, when we practice generosity, we all like to receive. So when you receive something good, you feel very happy. So when we practice the generosity, it makes others happy. When we manage to make others happy, what happens? That energy, whatever that energy you set in motion, is the thing that is going to affect you also. So Buddha pointed out, generosity makes happiness. Not just for the one who receives, but even the giver actually gets more happiness. If you reflect on that, than actually receiving end, than being in the receiving end, if you actually can give. If you can give a house to someone who don't have a house, by seeing how they become happy, you will be the happiest, and that memory will be with you even maybe after you die. So it's like someone don't have food, you give food and you watch them eating, how they appreciate and how they eat and say, oh, thank God, no more food. You are more happier than if you were to eat that food. So this quality of this generosity has the person who receives it also to be happy, and also the one who is practicing it also to bring happiness. So these 10 qualities are very special qualities that is necessary for us to develop if we want happiness for the others and for the oneself. Okay. So generosity is one quality. And this love, the kindness, so there is 10, and in 10 there is this, it starts with generosity, which we can go later to this list. But in that list, what we call the Maitri, the Metta, this unconditional love is there, and also this kindness also in that list. So going specifically to that, what I wanted to show using that generosity is these qualities has the ability to make the one who practices happy instantly on the spot and every time, even when reflecting on that act, to be happy. And also the one who meets in that activity, or one who receives, who is in the other end of this, they also may become happy. So Buddha pointed out these are the qualities that we need to develop if we want to live a stress-free life, if we want to live a happy life. This is why you're longing to have this love and the kindness. So now the question is, where is the boundary? Now we being told first you need to look after yourself to be able to look after the others. So how much do I love and care and be kind to myself? And where do I draw the line when serving? That's your question. This becomes a question, my dear, because we being not taught the root of the unhappiness. And we have not been told what are the real root causes for the happiness. I'll go deep down to that point, then you will understand. In our body, I'm going to go into physiology a little bit. In our body, we have these senses, and these senses get stimulated by light, by sound, by smells, by taste, by touch, and thinking. So there is 6 senses. And when they get stimulated, activity starts. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking. We start to experience. When we start to experience, then we will start to interpret the situation, or we will start to form thoughts, concepts around that. So, when we start to think, there are 2 pathways in this nervous system that is connected to the brain that takes messages to the brain. One pathway is called sympathetic, other one is called parasympathetic. If you don't know science, don't worry. I'm just telling you to show these 2 different systems, totally opposite to each other, is working here. So I just want to show you, one system brings stress, the other system brings relaxation. Opposite of stress is the relaxation. So one system is responsible for stress, one system is responsible for relaxation, comfort. So the one that is responsible for the stress is called the sympathetic system. This sympathetic system, when only certain kinds of thoughts will travel in this. And the head office of this system, there is a little gland called amygdala, in the middle of the brain. You have a science background, you understand. Good.
Yeah, I do.
Very good. So then this amygdala's job is always to screen any threat to the self, like the Secret Service. Their service is to check and keep the president safe. They are to check the threats. So same way, we also have a secret service here working. Very vigilantly, morning to night, night to morning, surveilling for the safety of yourself. So if it catches any thought from any of your experiences, and you form a thought that is a threat to your survival, amygdala takes charge. Straight away, it will take that thought, and then with that thought, now that it's a threat, it will go straight into action. You don't have time to think. It will, like the autonomous means, you don't have any conscious control over this. It will just go into action. It will stimulate the adrenaline glands, and it will instruct the adrenaline gland to secrete adrenaline hormone. The adrenaline hormones comes, some other hormones comes, and the body goes into a fight or flight reaction. Body goes into the fight or flight reaction, which is a stress reaction, stress response. When you are in the fight mode, means you are angry. When you are in the flight mode, means you are afraid now. You're thinking of fleeing, flying away, moving away, avoiding the situation. Okay? That is flying. And fight means you want to use the power now to squash the threat. Because the system has detected this threat, you can be, you get angry and you go to fight. If the system detects the threat as something that is more powerful than you, fly away. You go away. So you get anxiety, worries, fears. So this reaction, the fight or flight reaction, is two sides in the same coin. Mostly it's the same hormones that work. Okay. Now, this anger or the anxiety, worries, panic attacks, fear, is it comfortable to us? When you are angry or when you are afraid, do you feel very comfortable and relaxed and calm and happy? No, the opposite. Totally the opposite. You don't feel good. You don't feel comfortable. You don't feel happy at all. So this is why this is called stress. It stresses the system from in and out, from the physical body, from top to the bottom, bottom to the top, and the working of the brain, the activity of the mind, everything goes into chaos. It's like if a alarm, the smoke alarm goes, everyone will be, fire alarm goes, everyone will be running around and not knowing what to do, and they are just reacting. The whole body reacts, including the heart going to boom, 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 boom. And you are heavy breathing. And then if you had eaten something, the digestion will stop. And all the blood that is diverted there will take to your limbs, because you can't fight or fly if you're so relaxed and floppy. Right? So the one thing that it does, it will bring the blood flow to your arms and legs and all that, and they become so stiff. So you get tensed. This is one part in that discomfort, the tension in your muscles, tension in your body. Now, so like that, you start to feel very tensed and the pressure goes up high, your temperature goes up high, and if this continues, your hair can stand on end And if this continue to go on, you can even start to shiver because the tension can become so much. Have you seen when people get angry, they go like that can happen too. Now, this is why it is called, it's so much stress. That's why it's called a stress reaction. So just know, if you send messages in this sympathetic pathway, we cannot be left peaceful or happy. You don't need such a big thought to arouse this system. Even a slightest thought like, you know what, so-and-so had said this about me, you know, that is enough to activate your fight or flight reaction. Because amygdala takes it as a threat to your good name. So it's hindering your chance for good survival, good support. Doesn't like that. So straight away, it will activate the fight or flight reaction. So you will get angry or you're going to be afraid about them. You see? So even though it looks like a very innocent thought that you talk to someone, no, the thought comes to you. See, someone has said this. It will activate. So now, here what you have to understand, as long as we develop self-centered thoughts, anything about I, me, myself, there is a certain chance, a risk that the system will go into fight or flight reaction. You will be feeling awful. You will feel very uncomfortable. You will feel very bad. You won't feel happy. But when we are unhappy about something, normally we learn to blame others. Normally we think it's the outside problems that is making us unhappy. But this is a chemical reaction that we going through in your body that made you feel very uncomfortable and unhappy. Yes? Do you see that? It is our own body, it is our own chemicals that is making us feel very uncomfortable and unhappy. Even though we blame others, we say they are responsible for my happiness. Because they didn't give me the happiness, they gave me the trouble, I'm unhappy. But no, the amygdala created it with your own thought. Okay? Got it? Not yet.
My questions to René.
Yeah. I'm going to the root cause to show you, then I will come. I'm not going to give you the short answer, which I can. But I want to show you what is this longing is about and why we are longing for it, because we don't have this comfort, the peace and the happiness. This is why we are longing for it. So I'm trying to show you how we can bring it from within, naturally. So I'm trying to show you what makes us stressed. So the stress is stimulated by selfish thoughts. Any thought to do with I, me and myself. So if you are going to keep on thinking, I want love, I want kindness, I want this, I want that, that is the best recipe to not to get that. As long as there is I, because when you don't have, you go, why others have love, so much kindness, they have a good life, why I don't have? The amygdala will take you for a ride. So here we have to be very, 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 very careful. I'm teaching you the physiology, so you know the switches, how to change this situation. Now, there is another pathway in our body called the parasympathetic. So the parasympathetic takes all the messages, anything to do with without the self. Any selfless thought. Even a simple thought like you think of another person and you think and it will go in the parasympathetic. Like if you wish, may all beings be well and happy. You start blessing others. It will go in the parasympathetic. When I say when you think of another, not in the bad way. If you think of the bad way, you are either jealous or competing or something. The amygdala will be the one to pick it up and you will feel bad straight away. You will know when you think, when I said thinking of the others in the good way. Only if you think of others in the good way, the parasympathetic will get activated. And you can even go to the extent where you wish, may all beings be well and happy. The parasympathetic will take this message, and the parasympathetic is connected to the pineal gland. The pineal gland is responsible to relaxing us, opposite of amygdala. So the pineal gland relaxes the whole body. It relaxes the muscles, relaxes the limbs, relaxes your shoulders, the whole body. And when you are relaxed, you feel very comfortable. That's another truth. That is, when you're relaxed, you feel comfortable. When you're comfortable, innately you feel very collected, very satisfied, and in a kind of a satisfied, fulfilled, peaceful, happy feeling comes. The hormones that the pineal gland secretes, the dopamines, oxytocins, makes us feel very relaxed and comfortable and happy. So, you see, this is why I have seen there is a book called Happiness Trap. If you look for happiness for myself, you are in the trap. If we can lose ourselves, happiness will naturally come. You see? That's the thing. So then, if we can practice this loving kindness means not the lustful love. Love has three qualities, totally different to each other. One love is called this eros, the lust between a man and a woman, sensual love. That can lead to stress because it's very selfish. The other love is like the love between the parents and the children, between the siblings. Filial piety, like the brotherlyhood, like motherly, fatherly love. That is an innocent one, and that can activate parasympathetic if you don't do it with attachment. And there's the other one, the love thy your neighbor. What we call, you coming from that background and where we come from, we call Maitri, Metta. That is, may all beings be well and happy. You don't need to know them. Love thy your neighbor means you don't need to know them. Whether you know them or not, you care for them. Develop the care, sense of caringness, for their welfare and well-being, you're concerned, and you wish them, may they be well and happy, the next door neighbor, the village, the country, the whole world, the universe, all living beings. So we can extend our heart. That love is what we call the unconditional loving kindness. This is the one that is helpful to activate this parasympathetic. Because it has got nothing to do with any sense of mindness, sense of selfishness. It's not a self-centered thought. You're taking your attention to outside. So now when you put others first and you think of others and you all the time anyway bless, may nothing go wrong, may they get everything, may they be well and happy, may they be not in danger, may they be safe, may they be all the good things you can wish, you keep on wishing wholeheartedly from the bottom of the heart. It will activate the parasympathetic and you will get so relaxed, comfortable, and then you feel so full in your heart, you love the whole world. This is how you feel when you're so full. When you're so comfortable, you get so much energy naturally. You get so much of care and concern springing from there that you would do anything and everything, whatever the way you can do to make others, to keep them comfortable and happy. This is the genuine love and the kindness for humanity and for everyone, but that has to come from that relaxed point. A lot of us today, we are very busy because I want to do something. This is why a lot of the social workers, you will see either they are very unhappy or they have cancer or a lot of problems. Why? It's not coming from that empty spot. It's not activating from the parasympathetic. It's not genuine. Still, we are caught up in the ego. Still, we are caught up in the sense of I, me, and myself, and we are doing it. So, in the behind, either it's my name, my fame, my this, my power, this, that, or the other, or whatever, to get a good name, to receive this, that, or something is there, one of the selfish agendas. This otherwise, if we are so genuine and we give the life to serve others, you can fly. Because you will be able to. That's how the body is designed. If you totally forget about yourself and do it for the sake of others, you will not feel tired. You will not really get tired of it. It will come naturally, the spring of love and the kindness, and you will know what to do, at what time, what point. And it will keep you really healthy. Cancer is a no-no. Cancer is something that we always knew stems from I, me, and myself. It's something to do with the mind. We all have cancer in our body. Our cells are always replicating, dividing. But there is a balance. They divide and there is a balance. But when this balance gets tipped to the side where they keep on continue to divide, grow, we call the cancer or the tumor like that. Where it gets tipped is when your body changes the pH, it changes the nutrition levels, it changes the oxygen, and you start to accumulate more carbon dioxide, more lack of nutrition, and a lot of things that happens to you with the stress. This is why it's all connected to the stress. Now, a lot of people have done a lot of research and they are pointing out this cancer, this type of cancer is related to this type of thoughts. They are very sharp. They have found that out. And I had someone, one of the devotees who had a liver cancer. So I knew the cause. The cause is for the liver cancer, they are saying, if you have a grudge, if you have been keeping a grudge in your life, it manifests first in the liver. Why? We can get angry. Normally, we get angry and we forget about it and we move forward. Grudge means you have not forgotten that fact that you got angry, they made you unhappy or whatever, that you're keeping it and you keep on thinking about it. So and so said this, so and so did this. So all the time the body is going in the fight or flight reaction. So the adrenaline comes, all these stress hormones come. And one of the things that the adrenaline, the quality in adrenaline is it's very toxic. Adrenaline is very toxic by its nature. So if you're pouring toxic all the time in your body, your detox center is liver. So if you give work for it morning to night, night to morning, of course it's going to break down. If you don't give it a break. So keeping a grudge is very dangerous. You are not touching your enemy. You are not doing anything to the enemy. Enemy lives happily, you die. Very dangerous. So I asked that lady, she's a very good lady. So I was wondering, how did she get cancer? So anyway, she was in last stages. By the time when they get to know, no reversing. Okay, I asked one day, would you mind if I ask you really? You know, there's this research being done and they say, you know, if people keep grudges, they get cancer. And I have known you as a very nice lady. You know, I don't know you have grudges with anyone, but I want to check this. You know, can you tell me something that, do you have anything related to this? Then he said, you know what, Venerable? I hated my dad until today. He gave us such a hard time from the young time, and it was our mother who brought us up. And even until today, I can't forgive you. There you go. So this research is not nonsense. What they have found, you actually try to study using yourself for the others, you will find there are good grounds. So now this is why I said with cancer and also a lot of the diseases that we have today is due to this not having the ease in the body. You don't have the ease, so we get the disease. So a lot of the diseases starting from the mind, especially with the stress. That's what they're saying today. So, going back to that, if people are truly activating this parasympathetic and we develop that, so the loving kindness we can kind of practice, but it's a true genuine state that has to come from bottom of the heart. It only will come proportion to the selflessness. It is proportional to how selfless you are. So what we have to do is we need to lessen the ego, lessen the self, if you want to be really loving and kind. Then it will come natural. But now that a lot of the times we are not really given the knowledge about the root cause of things. So what Buddha was really pointing out, this all the evil in the world is because of selfishness, because of the ego, because of the sense of self. We harboring the sense of self and we giving importance to the self. This is why we have crimes, world wars. You think all the negative things, why they happen? Because of me. I'm more important. I deserve it. This is my right. I and me and myself. So Buddha pointed out this is very dangerous. This I, even though it looks very innocent, very dangerous to keep. So more you can dissolve it, more you can have peace and harmony and happiness within and without, outside as well. You see? Can you relate to this? You see you put bunch of selfish people together. That's it. You put one selfish person in the bunch of selfless people, he or she can survive in there because the others will be okay. But you put bunch of selfish people together, that's it. So this selfishness is not a nice thing. This is why a lot of people don't like selfish people. We like to move away. You say, sometimes, oh, they're very selfish, I don't like to associate. So we need to learn now, may I not be a selfish person? May I not be a selfish person? So this selfishness can have degrees. When it goes above the average, that's when it becomes a headache. It becomes a problem. But we all have a certain level of selfishness. If we don't look after this, you just let it be, it will only creep, it will only grow. The ego only will grow. Ego will not get diminished if you don't treat it. That's the other problem. So all these spiritual teachings is all about, whether it's coming from east or west or from everywhere, it was to handle this problem of ego. How to get rid of the self. Because the self is the problem. Right? So, developing true loving kindness means really not thinking about me. Not thinking about me. Then you will say, this is where the Western thinking comes now. We have to be okay first for me to serve the other. First, I have to keep my rights. First, I have to look after my rights. First, I have to be okay. If I, me and myself is perfect, then I can do. So first let me earn money, let me get what I want, let me be strong, and then I can do. That's where the problem begins. So no one ever gets satisfied. No one ever gets any peace or harmony or happiness. What we get is wanting to look after others and wanting to serve others and wanting to have peace and happiness. What we are having is world wars. And the stress keeps on escalating. Stress keeps on escalating because we are trying to get this peace and the happiness in a way that you will never reach there if you pay attention to the self. So what needs to be done? Pay attention to getting rid of the self. Getting rid of this notion of self. I, me, myself. Now, how easy is that? All this time you've been looking after it, all this time you've been feeding it, all this time you've been doing everything to make myself happy. So how is it for you to get rid of this loving me? Is it easy, you think? Huh?
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
Yes, but if you know how this self come to be, it's easy. Now this is where I have a lot of respect to Lord Buddha, because he pointed out something that how the sense of self stemmed out, how it come about.
Like there.
Yes, you can hear. So you can solve your problem forever, once and forever. Now, you see a rainbow. You all have seen a rainbow. So when you see a rainbow, we get this idea about the rainbow. Oh, there is rainbow. Right? But take a check. Yeah. So, but if you look closely, this rainbow, someone says, oh, I like to climb the rainbow, so I don't need a visa to go to that country if I can cross over using that. A little child says, can I, mommy, have it to cook? I want to taste the rainbow. So now that seeing the rainbow, different people have different ideas, because you see the rainbow and you think there is a rainbow. Now, when you investigate what we call this rainbow, do you find anything like a rainbow, anything to take, anything substantial, anything that you can hold on to? Not really. What is there is some raindrops and the light going through it, and at the back there is some cloud, so there is a curtain, and this light rays going through this water drop, it separates the frequency. And this is just like a mirage. This is just like an appearance, only an appearance that's there. You cannot, there is no such thing as something that you can take and get hold of. Are you getting me?
Yes.
Even though we call there is something rainbow, it's only a phenomena. Some activity that has taken place, but there's no substance, substantial, anything for you to hold on to as a rainbow. So like that, Buddha is saying, if you investigate this phenomena called the I, Buddha says, because we did not investigate this body and the senses and how the brain and how this is working, there is something that is being created like something called the I, me, myself, and because we didn't really investigate this. Now, if I ask you, What's your name, brother?
Andre.
Andre.
Yeah.
Now, where are you, Andre, now?
Where am I physically?
Yes, yes.
Emotionally, spiritually? Or
No, like if I ask it normally, say, here I am.
I'm here.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm here.
yeah. You would put your hand and say, here I am. Now, let's imagine he did that. Okay, here I am. So now, what is he showing as here I am? So where is the I now located? In the body. Okay? In the body. Getting me? We have to follow it, yeah? So what we normally call as I is the body. But Descartes saw this is wrong. Descartes saw it's stupid to call the body the I. Only the people who don't know the anatomy, that this is made of bits and pieces, this, and that and the other, you remove them. You can't find an I in anywhere.
The changes.
Yes. So Descartes knew that you can't call this body the I. So I must be separate. I must be different. Then he said, I think, therefore I am. So then he went to think, thinking is I. Right? He said, I think, therefore I am. But can you see something wrong in that clause? Logically, it's a wrong clause, even though he used it and it's very famous and he thought, I think, therefore I am. He claimed it. Can you see even a false in that statement? What is it?
Dualism. Separation between the two.
No. Logically, I'm
He's
asking.
saying I as in ego, like the self. Not-
Yeah. Okay, let me share. How he should have said is thinking, therefore I am. Then he would have not have arrived at I at all.
Oh, yes.
But he already have the I in the equation and he says, I think, therefore I am. See, it's wrong.
What if it was I'm pain? I'm
Ah, you see? So he got it wrong. That's why he got an I in the end.
You sort of
The
presuppose.
opposite is
Yes,
actually-
he presupposes. So it is a wrong clause. If he had said thinking, therefore I am, he would not have ever said thinking is I am.
Yeah.
For him, I already existed and he said, thinking, therefore I am. But I already existed in there. Which is, you see?
Yeah.
So he got it wrong.
Completely so.
Yes. So, even if someone calls the body the I, that's a better delusion than calling the thinking the I. Because the thinking always come and go. Always come and go. It doesn't even stay for a few minutes. So, I is not something that really quickly changes. I is a very static concept. Here I am. Even after I die, I exist. What you exist after the death, I is the soul. So this is not something that will die, it will continue forever. So I is a very static concept. Are you with me? Okay. So now, let's go to what Buddha said. Now, Buddha said, let's investigate, because these are the 2 points that we call I. Either body or the mind. Right? Got it? Is there anywhere else you can call I? Anywhere else you can locate I, me, myself? Huh?
Spirit, soul.
Where is the spirit soul?
Oh.
Where? Out there? Well, here, right? Whatever it is here. Whatever it to do with here. So let's investigate this. How we investigated the rainbow, let's investigate this. Then we will find what is in here. So then if you look the physical part, physically it's obvious. There is no single part you can identify as an I. or me or myself. There is many scientists now working on this, neuroscientists, philosophers, and most of them, they are coming to the conclusion, especially I have seen in the TED talk, I can show you the Antonio Damasio, and there is this lot of the neuroscientists and people who are investigating, they are saying we can't find a seat of soul. We can't find an eye in the physical body or even in the brain. They are mainly investigating the brain. So they are saying we can't find a center. There is no conductor. There is no person doing these things. Okay, that is the science part. Now, so you will understand if you really look into the body, now we are at a stage where we can transplant anything and everything. So if you remove part by part, you transplant everything and even the blood transfusion. Where is the eye going to be? It's going to be a mess. So the physical body is not the eye. Can you see that clearly? It's only bunch of organs and some activities going on in here. Body is a body. So Buddha said first, let's get this right. Let's look at the body as a body. Buddha said, Kaya anupassi virati. When you look at the body, know the body is a body. So you have to separate the sense of I now from the body. Because we thought the body is the I, how much did you spend on this body? Trying to please it. The makeup, the handbag, the clothes, even the millions of dollars of debt. Debt to buy this house, to put this there. Because this asked for it. You went through all this hardship and worked so hard like a cow to please this one, to please this body, because you thought this is I. But now you really investigate, you can't find an I in here. It's a body, just a body. But it has taken you for a ride because you didn't investigate this, right? It only gave you headaches. See how hard you had to work. Anyway, because you wouldn't work like that for him. Get a 100,000 loan and put him in a house. You did it because you believed. Yeah, because you believe this is me, this is I am, I want this. You did the favor to this one. But Buddha says you can treat this how deluded you are, and you can treat this the way it is asking, giving anything and everything it's asking, all these senses. But if you create the wrong causes and conditions for it, when it gets sick, it will not tell, Ayo, you have get this debt and you work so hard to look after me, to make me happy, so I won't go take you to the ICU because you have a heart attack. I'll kill. No. When it gets sick, it will give you more pain than a worst enemy. The same body that you really loved and you did everything for will give you pain and headache and suffering than the worst enemy you can imagine can give you trouble and suffering. This is how the body is, because the body doesn't know that. It doesn't know how to show you gratitude for what it gave you. Body is just a body. We thought it's I, me and myself. You see? So be careful next time when it's asking for things, okay? Now, the other part to look at. The physical body, do you understand? It's not the I or the me or the myself. We see everyone die and no one is taking it. We go and bury it or we go and burn it. If there was an I, that cannot happen. So we say, oh, it was removed. Yeah? We say that it's been removed. Anyway, so we can go into that. Now, there's the other part is the activity of the brain, thinking. Because I'm going to touch on that, because Descartes said that if we could get diluted like that, we all get diluted too. I get angry, I think, I like, we associate all that with I. No? Now, let's look into the brain. This is a complex thing, but I can try to explain it in the most simple way that I can try. I'll try. There is three main activities in this thing called the brain. Now, even though brain is a separate organ, but the nerves are all over the body. All these nerves in the system, they all converge to the brain. So brain is, even though we locate it here, some activities of the brain is all over the body. Because what brain does is it's activity. It also functions. So one activity is when the eye gets stimulated by the light, when the ear gets stimulated by the sound, when the nose gets stimulated by the smell, the taste, with the tongue with the taste, and the body with the touches, they get stimulated, and this stimulation is taken by a certain nerves to the brain. Like from the eye, this stimulation, and what happens when the light stimulates the eye is there is a lens in the eye. I'm going to explain one organ, one of this activity, so you can apply it to the rest. So in the eye, what is there? There is a lens, and behind it there is a wall like made with cells, and they are called the retina. That wall is called the retina, and the cells are called rods and cones, like the bricks. So these rods and cones, when they get in touch with this light, they get stimulated, and what they do, they separate the frequency in the light. Light is an energy. It's an electromagnetic wave. So light has a frequency. Now what happened to the rainbow is that the frequency was separated by that tiny little rainy drop. That's what you see. That's what in the light spectrum, from long wavelengths to short wavelengths. Yeah, the wavelengths were separated there. So this is exactly what in the eye, what happens. These cells will see color. They see the color, they see the wavelengths, and they interpret wavelengths as the color. So what we see in the eye is color. And another thing that happens is the type of the lens we have, it makes the images upside down. If you remember, you've done science, and you will remember the lesson that when you did the eye, they said the data that comes from, getting reflected from there, the light comes here, and then it goes through that lens. And in that lens, the characteristic is in the focal point, you get an inverted image. So what we have is an inverted image of this color. So if you are seeing the world with the eye, this is how we should be seeing the world.
Upside down.
Upside down. You need to just study the activity of the lens, or study the eye, how the eye works, because it's all in YouTube, or ask the Google God, it's all knowing. You just ask it, it'll tell you how the eye works.
So why don't we see the world upside down?
There you go. So I'm going to come now to the next point. Now, after that image is being created here, all those cells are connected by tiny fibers, tiny cells, and creates this thing called the optic nerve. Then this optic nerve takes this message to the brain. Then in the brain, there are specific areas where the optic nerve works and the other things work. So we have a visual cortex. So in the visual cortex, now it gets this message and it cooks its own story now and corrects the picture for us. So what you see is a mental image. This is confirmed science.
So the mind is seen.
Mind is showing a picture. What we see is what the mind is showing.
Right.
You think you're seeing me here.
Right, but that's the mind that is seeing that through my conditioning of the mind.
No, this is how we experience the world. Our experience is a mental image.
Yeah.
Does that mean everyone's got a different mental image? Like
If your brain is differently wired, you can have, sometimes you can have all the genes and things work in an average way.
Well, something I find really fascinating, how I could not get a smell out of my mind years later. And that smell, and then I realized the smell, that's when I realized the mind is the smell.
Yes.
And this smell would lead me for years later. It was in the food. And
Yep.
I just found that really extraordinary when people say, well, take a smell, you can smell it. I thought, wow, the mind is,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Okay. Now you're getting closer to one of the truths. What we are experiencing today is a mental image. This we call in Pali, Buddha said Rupa. Rupa means not a substance, not a thing that you can get hold of. It's an image. Okay. So what the neuroscientists are saying, what we use the word in neuroscience, it's a mental image, or in English we call it's a mental image.
So it's not a physical thing, it's an image inside the head, it's not a physical
That's
reality.
right. That's right. So you and me being loving and fighting, thinking it's out there, but with what created by an image.
Well, could that mean that you are not a physical thing, you are a mental image?
Well, how can we say we are a mental image? The mental image was created only when the causes and conditions were there. It's a momentary thing also. It's an activity just happening every moment. So
Well, I guess what I'm wondering is whether the mind is a computer system, and through our conditioning, it navigates our thinking and our senses, which creates you as a solid vision image in my...
no, the thing is, this is all encoded in our gene. We didn't do this.
Right. Okay.
It's already in the gene.
Right.
I didn't instruct to see or to make the mental images. It's all happening to us because it's already being coded. This is happening to us. What we need to do is understand this working, the process. That is the way out. Because this is not under our control. I didn't create it, so we can't control this. Okay, so this is how it's happening. Let's understand the working mechanisms.
Yeah.
Then we can stop reacting to this. Our problem is a reaction. Because when we don't know that the mental images, that what we experience is a mental image, I like what I see, I think it's there, I like it, and I go after it, and I work like a cow to get that. I don't like him, so I go into fight, conflict, and if possible, go and get some weapons from somewhere, even for the loan. And mass destruct, not only him, even the nation I hate. So I go and fight without sight. So it is this reaction that you liking and disliking develop the desires and the greed and the hatred brought me emotions. But when the emotions are happening, because it's the chemicals in here, I feel the emotion. Emotion is real. We suffer from the emotion. Even though you're experiencing the mental images, when you miss that point, you think the world exists there and I exist here. This is where the problem starts. When the seeing is not seen for the seeing, I see you out there. That's where the problem starts. I see you out there. So out there, and where this reaction is happening, this thing is called then automatically I. That's where Buddha said, let's break down to find out where this I is. So I'm just trying to go one by one, trying to resolve. So one of the activities that's happening, I told you there is an array of activities happening in the brain. One activity is this perception.
That's what
Eye perception, ear perception, nose perception, tongue perception, the body perception. So, in this perception, while we are, this perception is, we experience that. If we are not aware of what's going on, if we are deluded or we are in the darkness, not knowing what's happening, I experience the outside world.
being conscious or unconscious.
Unconsciously.
So unconscious perceptions.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Because we were not taught this, or we didn't realize this.
Right.
Because no one told this, we didn't realize this. But at least now the neuroscientists are saying, we'll never be able to see, hear, smell, taste, touch the outside world. It's only a creation of your brain. What you're experiencing is what the brain creates for you. Now you might say, oh, I'm touchy, I feel it. You know, there are conditions. There are conditions where if the nervous system gets damaged or the brain, certain parts die or damage, there is a certain, a very common one when there is a quadriplegic. A lot of the quadriplegics, some of them, what they have is, they can touch this. We see them touching, but they can't feel. So it doesn't exist for them. Because the brain doesn't create that mental image, because this message is not taken to the brain, or it's going to the brain, but the brain dead in that area, brain damage. So the brain doesn't create that mental image. So when they have this problem where they can't sense things, there is a carer all the time, because if they put the hand under the hot water tap, hand is gone. Because they can't feel hot or cold or anything, not even the water. So can you see that everything is created for us from our brain? So if someone has a brain damage, depending on which area got damaged, that perception will not be created. You will lose it. If you are totally brain dead, all gone. You see, person is there, but brain dead. So they can't see, they can't hear, they can't smell, touch, no, gone. Because it's a brain that creates. So this is one of the functions in the brain, which we call the Vinyana. This activity of perception is called Vinyana. After we perceiving this, now that is the first activity. The simulation happens, and then we start to perceive the own brain image. We think that is the world.
When we go starting, do you want me to put out the 12 links?
Huh?
Do you want me to put out the 12 links?
No need. Now, so Vinyana, what we call Vinyana is this perception. After the perception arises, what happens? We start to interpret that. We start to try to cognize it. What is it? And like that, we start to build concept over it. So the thinking starts. With the mental image, the thinking starts. So thinking is another activity. You see? It's what the Pali word is the Mano. Mano. And Mana Dhamma means this ability to think, reason out and build concepts and all that. So all the time, there is a condition. When we have a concept, there is two aspects to it. The neuroscientists are saying, visual and the verbal part. When we think something, there is a visual part and there is a verbal part to it.
What's the second one?
The what part?
Visual and the verbal.
So,
So the thinking happens, concept has two aspects, the mental image part and also the verbally we're trying to identify it. Identification. So in Pali we call this Nama Rupa. So Buddha says this Nama Rupa goes together all the time. When there is a sensory stimulation happening, the Nama Rupa takes place and they go together. Okay, this is how the concepts are happening, and this is neuroscientists are confirming it now. Now, after the thinking level, then you know what happens to you. We spoke before. Depending on the quality of the thinking, whether it's based on the self or without a self. It gets separated by your sorting system. It goes in the sympathetic or the parasympathetic. If the sympathetic gets activated, boom, I'm suffering. I am suffering. So after if your thinking is proper thinking, it will not create emotions. If it's selfless, if it aligns with the truth, it will go in the parasympathetic. As long as there is no self in it, the body will stay relaxed and calm and very peaceful. When you are peaceful, you are very content and happy. You see, so there is 3 stages to this: perception, conceptual thinking, and the emotional level. Vinyana, Mano, Chitta. Vinyana, it's good for you all to learn a little bit of Pali so you understand. Vinyana, Mano, Chitta. Now, which one can we call the I now? Because we are trying to locate the I. We are dissecting. Is the eye perception, is the eye, the ear perception, nose perception, tongue perception, body perception, or is it the seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching? Or is it what you saw, what you heard, what you tasted, what you smelled, what you felt, what you thought? Is that the I? At that level you can see? You can't say that is I. No? Now let's move on from that to the thinking level, the conceptual level. At that level, can you see an I? Even though Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. No. It will be silly to say thinking is I am. No? We can't say thinking I am. So the thinking also not I. Now let's go to the emotional level, the real level, where you really feel, I'm angry, I'm upset. Is there an I in there?
What about feeling?
Yes, the feeling is with the hormones. It is the hormones that's creating the feeling. When you say angry, now they have come very close to find out when you say angry, what's happening here? It's adrenaline making you feel angry. Adrenaline comes and gives you a burst of energy and tenses you, and with that burst of energy, you can't stay. It just shakes.
Without the mind?
So, brain dead, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
When someone is brain
Can the
dead?
heart just be, can you feel without, can you feel without the mind? Like what I'm thinking, like meditation, and you feel fuzzy and that kind of fuzziness.
But you haven't lost.
But the mind is still there.
Meditation doesn't mean losing the mind.
Yeah,
You may like feeling in your heart sometimes. Breathe.
That is also feeling.
If you're a physical feeling in your heart, you don't.
But brother, easy to solve. If you're feeling something, it's a sensation, it's a perception.
okay.
It's still in the brain. Still in the brain.
Body and mind.
Still in the brain.
Okay.
Okay? So, now, when you investigated Vinyana, Mano, Chitta, whether it's at the perception level or whether it's at the thinking level or at the emotional level, can anyone find the I there? No. Well, then where is this mysterious I? Where is it hiding?
What about I is hiding in I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm a
Yeah, that's because we miss this actual working. So I am a doctor, I'm a daughter, I get angry, I'm angry, then you get I in everywhere. You associate whatever associations, you will put the I in there.
Should we say his body is a teacher? His body goes to work?
No, well, the thing is we have to function in the world. So we use the normal terms level with what the common people use, but this is a realization to have. Getting enlightened means you realizing actually what's happening, the rainbow as the rainbow. What is the actual nature of the rainbow? Is there anything substantial to take from there or to hold on to? Is there anything worth there? So in here, you just check, is there anything worth here? Is there anything substantial here that does not get destroyed, that stays forever, that is static here? When you investigate top to bottom, bottom to top, you can't find anything that doesn't change or that sticks there. Okay? So for activity, we can't call the I. What we have is activities going on in a dynamic area. So because we didn't see this, we call this static concept of I in this dynamic activity. Because we didn't see it, we didn't investigate it. So as a result of this ignorance, as a result of we being so dumb not to realize what's going on, the price we pay is the emotions and the suffering, the stress. So Buddha's message is just very clear. How to be free from stress, how to be free from suffering. Easy. Realize what's happening. When you realize the true self, no self, when you realize there's only a bunch of activities going on, depending on the causes and conditions, activating certain activities happening here. So when you start to calling them, the body is the body, brain is the brain, perception is perception, thinking is thinking, emotion is emotion, problem solved. No one to suffer there. You see? So more we practice in line with the truth, you will find a lot of ease in the system, a lot of peace in the system, because you can cut the I in your equation. You see, you can start to disassociate. So the body will start to kick in, sending messages in the parasympathetic. Apparently, the scientists are saying our parasympathetic is little bit rusted now. For a long time, messages not having going.
Parasympathetic?
Yes, parasympathetic system, the system that relaxes us, the system that is responsible for relaxing us and to have that rest and the peace and the tranquility, apparently is rusted. Because we are all the time going in the sympathetic. And here in this part of the world, we are strengthening the I, the me, the myself, the rights, everything. You see? Buddha's interest was to show people the truth, the reality, and help to live a stress-free life. Because you only have to understand the system, how it works. And you pick and choose which system you want to send the messages. So now the neuroscientists are saying our parasympathetic is rusted. And they are saying, this is science, okay? Science, I watched the documentaries. They are saying when we are very little, our pineal gland is size of an almond. And our amygdala, when we are very little, is like a peppercorn, very small. So you can see the kids are very brave. They don't, because they don't have the sense of self. They will go and poke their hands here, there, jump, do this and that and the other. They have very little sense of ego. And they are very relaxed. Sleep like a baby means they are very relaxed because they have less selfishness, okay, compared to this big adult. Now they are confirming with a normal person, when they check the brain, more they grow up, their pineal gland has shrunk to the size of a peppercorn. And the amygdala has grown to the size of an almond. It reflects on what's going on here today. So what we are facing is stressful experiences. Stress increases. We are strengthening the amygdala and we are not relaxed. We don't know how to be peaceful, how to be happy. We don't have true, genuine love, kindness, compassion, nothing. Because we are going in the wrong direction. But if you really want to wake up to this truth, it's very easy. All you have to do is all the time reflect, and now reflect whether what I said is true or not, what Buddha said true or not. Go and research the science. What they say. Then you will find this is actually the case. We call the rainbow because we have to give a name. So we have given a name, I, me, myself. So now we dissected it and we saw there is, but even though we call it, there is no substantial thing to take on board, to hold on. So it's very easy next time in your experience, whatever the experience that make you unhappy or very sad or whatever, you ask, is this me? You separate the activity for the activity, the emotion for the emotion. Don't own it. If you say, I'm angry, big problem. You let the anger be the anger and it will subside. But if you really truly understand this teaching and you put it to practice, you will not get angry. Because you're not creating the causes and conditions to get angry. You're sending the messages in the parasympathetic. It's impossible to get angry.
I have a question.
Yes.
Well, it would still happen now. If I was confronted with a lion when I walked out the doors of a lion, I would activate into my sympathetic nervous system to survive.
Yes.
Either or
Yes.
freeze or whatever, but it would still be sympathetic.
Yes.
Is it possible that this system developed for our survival?
Yes.
So when you make me think about it, you said, well, we're babies, we're dependent still for survival in the adult. We grow, the I becomes a survival tool in the physical world.
Yes, the sympathetic is there for the survival and it acts automatically to save us, So that is true. Now, after you realize this actually, you bypass the sympathetic because it gets activated with the thoughts, that sense of I, me and myself. Now, when you have to uproot it, you can uproot it in different levels. Now, what you heard is a theoretical level today. But if you investigate, it will start to sink. Is this true? Is this true? Is this true? And the more you put it to practice, more your understanding will get deeper. More deeper the understanding gets, you will become more relaxed, more peaceful and more happy. And in that happiness, there's qualities. Loving quality, the kind quality, the compassionate quality, the altruistic joy quality or the equanimity quality. There is different taste to the peaceful mind. You see? So, when someone gets fully enlightened, if they are facing a danger, they will not react. So either they will get killed by that threat or someone has to save them because they don't have a self-perseverance sense. They don't see an importance of this over this. The whole universe acts in the same way. What I put out here, you breathe the next minute. We share everything. Even though in this delusion that I separate myself from the universe, but when you remove this, what's left is everything has come up from the ground and we all breathe the oxygen that the trees give us. What we give, the tree take, it gives oxygen, and what I put out from my lungs, you take. When this body is dead, it's in the ground and the tree grows on that and we eat it. It is in a different form, but we eat. You know, the symmetry is here. It must be a lot of fertilizer. You see? So it's in a cyclic way, all these chemicals, the amino acids, the molecules, they get recycled into different shapes. It is this delusion that kept us separate from everything else. Because this I is here, the world was out there, now that it got dissolved, this is not more important than anything else. So they will not put any importance. It won't happen. Naturally, the system is totally 100% dissolved with the nature. So they will not react. They will not have emotions. So an arahant or the full enlightened being don't have fear. They don't have anger. They don't have fear. They don't have any emotion. Totally their mind is 100% peaceful. No ripples. It's called mind unshaken.
If I may, now you said even if you get the example of a tiger jumping on you, you were saying that a fully enlightened being wouldn't react and die. But once when the Buddha was going and they set off a drunk elephant, Buddha didn't just die.
Buddha didn't remove himself.
No, he did, but he reacted.
No, he didn't react. There was this drunken elephant. Someone set this scene to destroy Buddha, who was very angry, jealous with Buddha's fames and this and that. So they wanted to kill the Buddha. So they set up this scene where, this is the background to his story, where they use the king's elephant that's being used to trample people to death. You know, those days the death punishment was given by animals, some in India, in some parts. So this elephant is a very violent, very powerful, violent, nasty one. When it's given instruction to kill, it will not wait. So this elephant was really made him to be angry by poking this, that, and the other, and he was so angry. And they, to top it up, they even make him drunk, gave him to drink alcohol.
Sorry.
That's all right. So they gave him things to alcohol also. So it was drunk on top of being so angry and violent, and they instructed to go and kill. So this one was trumpeting and they released to the road where the Buddha was coming. So now everyone in that village who was near that, they were running to the roofs of the houses to escape from this elephant. So everyone was running. And there was monks also went, who were not the enlightened ones, they also ran away. So the Buddha is in the middle of the street. Now this elephant is coming and Buddha's attendant was there, Venerable Ananda. He had so much respect and love for the Buddha. So to protect the Buddha, he came in front of the Buddha and said, Buddha, between the elephant and the Buddha. So Buddha said, what are you doing, Ananda? Get out. And so he faced the elephant. Elephants came trumpeting and, you know, he will only take like this and put you to ground. So smash you. So now this elephant is coming. Buddha actually, it says, with such loving kindness, he spoke to him and asked, what benefit will you get by killing a saint like me that has no wish even to hurt you or harm you? I have not even taken a rod. I have no intention to hurt you or harm you. I have no intention to do that to any living being. What are you going to get from killing me? So when that message went to the elephant's head, his drunkenness went away and he just went down and actually went on his knees. And he was touched by that utter love. This is what we call, for the Buddhists, for us, our weapon is the loving kindness. Because a lot of the monks and nuns live in the jungles. You know, in Sri Lanka, I looked into this. In the hospitals, a lot of people come bitten by the snakes. Bitten by different snakes. The villagers, the ones who live in the jungle, the monks never come. You see the trick? It's the monks who live in the jungle, but they don't get bitten by snakes. The ones who live in the house get bitten by the snake, and they are the ones who are getting treatment in the hospital for the snake bites, you see. So what Buddha said, there is this quality about this unconditional loving kindness, this radiance, there's nothing will not get tamed. There is a quality in this loving kindness where even the most raged person also can be calmed down because of this frequency. You know, the other thing, what this machine emits, every single of your thought, your emotion, they have a frequency. Now they can be measured. They have measured. We have frequencies. And we emit that frequency, and that frequency builds us like a field around us. It is called aura. You have heard that. So when people develop their mind, when their minds are so purified, so what's emitting is this total unconditional loving kindness coming from a selfless base. Their field can be far as even up to 6 feet. And anyone who comes to that field will feel very comfortable. So anyone who is upset and all that also, they will also soon calm down, will be comfortable. And this is what you see when you see a picture of a saint. They will draw like a moon behind them, like a halo. That is showing that field. More you have a developed mind, more your frequency emits. More you have a nasty mind, it shrinks. And now they are seeing the color even. When you are angry, they are saying it's more red. What we emit is more reddish, heated, heat. So when you're so angry or afraid, you go to the forest and there is a snake, someone going out there. What they read is, the animals read our frequency. They have called the sixth sense. They don't talk to you, but they know how you are, who you are, what's happening in your mind. So when they feel threatened by you, if your frequency is so hot and you're so reddish, they read that energy and they will strike you first. For their fight or flight reaction will activate. And for their safety, they will strike you. But if you're so cool, where your aura is like the moonlight, they will not even notice you. Because you're so cool, so merged with everything in the nature, they will think you are a tree and they will just walk over you. This is what happens when we are meditating in the jungle. They just go, thinking I'm also a tree. You know, they are not stupid to go and bite at everything. They do it reading the frequency. You see? So Buddha says the best thing that protects you is this loving kindness in every situation in life. Over all the meditation methods Buddha encouraged, if you want to live a comfortable life, if you want to function better, develop this loving kindness, because that's your armor, that's your guard. And this acts also like a virus guard. This I have been teaching people now. When the corona comes, this comes, that comes. If your energy is strong, if your aura is strong, if your energy is strong, your immune system is really good, it's boosted. So any foreign matter that comes, the body itself, the defense system will look after. You will not get sick easily. But if you're stressed, your aura is shrink, you don't have much energy, your immune system is suppressed. With the stress, any little virus can kill you. So even for the diseases, Buddha says this loving kindness can protect you from these unseen little beings. You know, those days there was no name bacteria or virus, but Buddha said Anukatula. Anuka means the unseen, the tiny, the microscopic level. And those were the things that was really being feared those days, because people couldn't see, so they thought it's the devil do it. But the real devil is this bacteria, virus, because it can take your life. But if you have a strong immune system, if you are relaxed, your immune system will work, because all the systems are here for you to function better. We are the one who suppressed it. We are the one who smashed it, because of our so much of this dark, thick ignorance. So Buddha said, after you're born as a human being, if you're interested to live a good life, comfortable life, first get the ignorance out. Get out of the ignorance and be enlightened. Don't live in the dark, be in the light. So you can see, understand what's happening. Get enlightened. So when you're enlightened, you will be one with the nature. There is no separation, I and me and you and all that. So it is at that point when you lose the self, you will really have the true loving kindness. Now, until that, we have to work on getting there. So, now that you saw the seat of how this stress comes from, you saw the root cause of the stress, the sense of I. Yes? And I is not a real thing anyway to be found in here. When the ignorance is gone, the I was also gone. But as long as we are ignorant and we are not reflecting the true story, we will feel this. The I also have few layers. This understanding layer, and also we feel in the emotional level. And also we feel in the DNA level. So we have to work on getting rid of each layers. So slowly, when we work, our ego will go away, but the sense of I will be there. Only at that final point when you really realize the activity as an activity, that sense of I will go away, the ego will go away. So like you said, it's a journey, but journey begins from understanding. What is lacking today is this knowledge. So, to come back to you, how much you want to care for yourself and how much to give, how much to care for yourself. How happy you want to be equates how selfless you want to be. Okay?
I understand what you said. My interpretation of boundary before I heard you talk was more about from a very transactional sense. I give you X, you respond with X. I give you Y, you respond with Y. Whereas after hearing you talk, what I've realized is, especially the last bit, if my boundary or armor is loving kindness, and that's how I truly become, not something that I do, but I truly become, then it doesn't matter what the other person is either taking or giving.
That's right.
Because you respond that way.
And there could be people who are not in a position to receive, but that's not my problem.
That's right.
Yeah.
We are not here to fix the world problems. First, fix this problem. At least let the people who are around you, the influential level, to be happy, peaceful and happy. Don't disturb. When you are totally at peace and ease, you will not do things to stress others. But when we are in this ignorance, when I'm angry, all I'm thinking is how to hurt you. How to express my anger, and in the expressing that, you get hurt. This is the problem with the ignorance. We hurt each other. So if you want to stop hurting each other, we have to realize this.
The first bit was also really enlightening in the sense that, say, if I'm being lovingly kind and someone is unable to receive it, then the meaning that I used to assign to it, which is they are unable to reciprocate, and why are they unable to reciprocate? That assignment of meaning is the illusion bit that we spoke about. If I stop giving the meaning that I'm giving and just be, then it really is not about the other person, it's about me.
Be available, take less, leave a less carbon print, live a very simple life, don't get caught up to what this one is saying, it will take you for a ride. So just keep this clean, neat and tidy and clean, that's enough. No need the makeup, no need this Louis Vuitton handbag, no need this, that and that, because it will not be happy anyway. So keep it as simple as possible, keep it clean, neat and tidy, so the others who are around you can live without closing the nose. Because it's this filthy. You didn't know that if you don't brush your teeth for 5 days, 2 days, no one can come closer to you and talk. This is how it is. So keep it clean, but no need to put all the extra things and spend money on that. Use your time wisely, do whatever you can to make someone else's life a better one. But first, by taking care of your ego. That's how we can take care of ourselves. By not letting this ego to come out. By not letting it grow. That's how we can take care of ourselves. That's the best care you can give to yourself. To become more selfless. To see, so it's easy to do it when you see this is more the impersonal activities that's going on. It's easier. Keep on thinking these are impersonal activities going on. And in Buddhism, what Buddha said is the anatta aspect. Anatta means impersonal activities going on. There's no substantial thing to hold on. You see? So more you reflect in that way, you will start to see the certain bulbs will start to go like that. So whatever we can do to make others comfortable, do whatever requires. If someone asks for help, please do it, whichever the way you can. If someone don't ask but you see they are in need, please do it. And don't differentiate. This is my close friend, that's my enemy. Be available. Even if they need help, do it. That's how they will start to change their idea about you. So then they will start to become friends with us. Yeah? So we want to not have two categories, friends and the enemies. Be in the middle and treat everyone nicely and lovingly and kindly and do whatever you have to do. And help and care. Think little about this one, think more about others. We can solve this problem. You see? So there have been people like that on earth. Buddha was one of them. All life was dedicated for the others' welfare and well-being. The life that is dedicated for the others' welfare and well-being before the enlightenment, they have a special name called the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva means you are there for the others. You are on someone on the path to lose yourself. You're working on it. So you're always there for the others, the bodhisattvas. So Jesus was a bodhisattva. He was working on helping others. He had a lot of concern about welfare and well-being of others. His whole life was dedicated for others. So there have been many great masters coming like that. And you can see some lives today, like Mother Teresa. Her whole life was dedicated to others. She was never tired. You see? And Mahatma Gandhi. They were not selfish. Nelson Mandela. You see? They were not selfish. So they show in the activity how easily they can forgive, how easily they can be with even the enemy and treat the enemy like your brother, forgetting everything. That's all right. How are you? So we can work towards that greatness. What makes us a small person is this big ego. Keeps us separate from everything and makes us more the sense of self you have, more emotional you will get, more stressed you will get, more stress you will get depressed. The more depressed you get, you will have mental illness, mental problem, not knowing even whether I'm Atha or Mata. And then more, lot of suffering, physical and mental, because all the time the mood swings, all the time the emotions, and all the time the physical body is so tense. Then there will come a time where you start to think, oh, it's better to die than living. I want to escape. I don't want to live like this. It's so much, life is so much suffering. It's better to die and I can be free from suffering. That's the worst decision to make. No way you can be free from suffering like that. To rest in peace, you have to have rest and the peace here and now. Then you can pass that exam at that point. With so much shaking, anger and rage and all that, and you kill yourself, thinking to free yourself from suffering. No, it will continue. So where we are today, because we are going in this wrong direction, it's heading towards a stress leading to depression, depression to the mental illness to the highest cause of death, suicide. So that's where we are today. We have lost the humanness. So we can save ourselves, we can save many people who are just yet there to take their life if we practice this and can help. Teach them how to reverse this suffering, because they are suffering so much. That's why they want to die, kill. The one, who do we love the most in the world? Even there I say, I love you, but who we love the most? This one. So can you imagine, now if someone comes with a gun, running to kill, who do you take and run and go and hide? This one, right? You don't stand at the door. You do this, you save this, because this is where our love, this is where I want to protect, I want to live. That's the innate feeling. Now for someone to kill the one who loved the most, how much mad you have to be? To kill the one you love the most. How cruel you have to be. How mad you have to be. This is the problem. This is why in every religion it's called, if you die with that madness, the only place you can have is for the mad people is called the hell. If you die with such rage, such cruel thoughts, and you kill yourself, because it's harder to kill the one you really love the most. You can murder someone, that's not a big deal. But to kill this one, you really have to go off. So when you're at a stage and you kill yourself, you won't be able to balance your energies in that last moment to be peaceful. Where the peaceful energy matters are the human realm, the heavenly realms. But where there is this lot of shaking, lot of emotions, what we call the lower realms, lot of suffering. So we will be born there. You see? So this is why it's very dangerous. You can't solve the problem. It will only get aggravated. And when they are there, no one is to help anyway. If you don't get a human body and a brain, how can you understand this? Now that you are here, at least you can listen to this, we can change. We can experience the good results then for ourselves. But when you are a tiny virus or a bacteria or something underground, not seeing, what can we do? No one can help. So Buddha pointed out, while you're a human being, make maximum use of this most developed, evolved brain. It has the capacity to understand. This is the marvel of this brain. Not any other species don't have. We have the most evolved brain. The most evolved part is the prefrontal cortex, the latest part, and that gives us the ability to think rationally, logically, make good decisions. So that is the one that gives you the understanding, oh, this leads to suffering. This leads to find freedom from suffering. So now we can act on it. If I've been teaching this to the bunch of cats and dogs, their system only goes in the sympathetic. You know, they are always living with fear. Why? They are dominated by amygdala. They are looked after by that self-preservance system because they don't have a brain itself to think and act. This is how the evolution is, continuing. So we are so lucky, we are very special that we have the brain. Now we should not misuse. We should stop misusing this machine. What we've been doing, with this ignorance, more and more the sense of self comes, we have started to put ourselves as the most important one at the expense of everything. I have to be comfortable. I don't care whether you live or not. I don't care whether the forest is there or not. I don't care whether this little chicken lives or not. I like you to be on my plate. Here we go. I'm the most important one. So we have started destroying each other and the environment and animals and anything and everything. And we think by destroying all these things, I can live a happy, comfortable life. The thickness of the ignorance. Now the weather is serving us nicely. When it rains, it rains. When it's hot until the fires flares. When it's snowing, it's snowing. The airport has to close down. And the earth has to start, shaking very often. Because we being destroying this ecosystem. This is ecosystem. We have to look after each other. The one who has the most brain, we should be the most developed. We should be the most evolved, means most developed and most caring for each other. So we can make it a better place. We can make it a better place for the others to come also. But what we've been doing, misusing this brain and developing the thick sense of I and ego and destroying everything, thinking everything is for my perusal. And at the expense of all this and that, no, my happiness is the most important. My right is the most important. And we put that to the children too. Now the whole household has to be run like this, what the children says. You can't give any advice. You can't say anything. The teachers are quitting. Those days, the most joyful thing is to teach children. Now, a lot of the teachers are quitting that field. No many ones. It's very difficult. They have more rights than anyone else. We can't show them right and the wrong and anything. Now, how we are going to run this society now? What is our future? If you don't teach a child who don't have a proper brain formed yet, the right and the wrong and the good and the bad, and how to choose the right things, how to choose the good, and how to be a good person. If we can't point out the mistakes and teach these things and program them, we will only have the default mode, the animal mode. It's already here, the limbic system, the sympathetic. We will have two-legged animals moving here and there and everywhere, the monkeys with a knife, cutting everyone other's throat and cutting themselves. This is very dangerous the way we are moving forward now. You see, yesterday there was a seminar and someone asked a question from the panelists. He really had a concern. He said, can you please tell me what's going on? What does it make to be a man, a woman to woman? And what is it that? What is going on? Why are we so confused? So then later, I met him after the thing and I asked, what do you mean by that question? What did you mean? What is to be a man? What is it to be a man and what is it to be a woman? So I asked, I didn't understand it in the deep sense. I know you meant something deep, but I want to know. He said, well, I'm also a teacher, venerable. Now, before we had the attraction man for a woman. And that the way the God designed, and so we can have children and the propagation will keep on happening and all that. And now that's not the case, he said. They are so confused and they don't know what's going on. And I said, that's what you meant. Okay. So what's happening here, we are focusing too much onto the body. We are focusing so much onto the body and the senses are telling you to use anything and everything to derive pleasure. Because this is how I've been pleasing myself now. Body is me, and if the body asks, I want to watch this, you watch that. And now apparently, what is on the on the internet, more than 50% of the content is pornography. I don't know, I need to see this. They said 80%, so I don't want to use that. I can't believe it. Content of the internet, 80% is pornography.
No, I heard that as well, about 75 or something.
So that is correct. I thought to be safe side, I will say more than 50%. So I can't believe this. We are going mad, aren't we? So anything and everything that this body is asking from us, We are just freely making it available, and more you stimulate this, more and more thoughts, more and more emotions, more and more the animal will come out. Animals still have the sense of, because they are going with the para-hormones, man and the female and the male. But they won't mind whether it's a mother or the father or the son or the daughter or anything. When the urge comes, that's it. And we are heading that way. When the urge comes, that's it. I don't mind whether it's what. We are not moved by the para-hormones. We are not sniffing each other. But we don't care now. So this is the result of we paying so much attention to the body. And this is a part of the ego problem. Without addressing this, you can't stop this. You see? Poor man, he was so concerned yesterday. And then the panelists who answered also answered, yes, there's feminine rights, feminine this, feminine that. It went in a different direction. But I felt that was not the answer that he was expecting. So that's why I approached him and asked him, what did you mean? So this is the problem. We are paying too much attention to the body and we are getting so emotional and we are getting so sick. We have short lives. With all these advancements, and if it worked well for us, if it has been really helping us, those days, the Buddha's time, the age of human average age was 120. 2,500 years ago, yes, people have lived up to 120. Then, by now, our other generations now, it's like 70, 80, 90, you see hardly someone reaching 100, passing 100, you still see the remnants now. But now with these generations, the ones here, the WHO is saying 60-60. So with all these technology and advancement and luxury and going after you, pleasing your senses, the body as much as you can, thinking I'm making myself comfortable and happy, making myself satisfied, we have cut down the age by half. So average lifespan is now 60. Yes. So we have become very unhealthy, very weak, and lost even half of the lifespan. And again, you go a bit more, another 10, 20 years, it will come down to 20, 30, 40. Yes. So this has not worked for us. That's what I wanted to say. There's something wrong in the system, which we have created hoping to find happiness. We are killing each other and we are shortening our lives. We are weakening ourselves. It's working against us. That's what I wanted to point out to you.
Just a question I ask myself sometimes. Why is there existence? Why is all this? So I understand what you're saying, and evolution, I understand, but why?
Evolution?
No, just everything, just the whole thing. Why?
Why
Is it all here to begin with? I haven't been able to make any sense of that in my head. So,
Well, do you?
I get lost in my head.
Well,
Okay, I get what you're saying. I love everything you're saying.
I can escape by saying, ask the Google God. He knows everything.
Yeah. So,
Ask the Google God.
okay.
or
Like what?
Well, this is how it is.
Beyond energy and beyond where it all started and everything. Why? Why was that there?
These kind of answers you find in their that kind of.
No, I'm just wondering why. Why there's that thing?
Because I guess the
energy.
No.
There's the universe and there's planets, but why? Like why?
Why? The energy is there.
That's fair. But it's never there.
The thing is, this energy has been already always being there. It's an energy world. So the energy is densed into different levels. This is a very dense form of energy, but still energy.
Yeah, I understand.
So energy manifests in different ways. as a planet, as a living being, as a whatever, and it's just a play. So we can't stop that. Whatever that we call the evolution, or if someone created or whatever not, we better not get caught up in this and not suffer. So we have the choice now to be victim or to find freedom from suffering and escape.
So
that you have now. Because I can't answer, I even don't know. But I know one thing.
I just sometimes, when I see different creativities in every expressions, and they talk about different universes and everything, and then I just think, is there like a child or an energy up there just drawing a picture, just go bang?
Okay, I'm going to show you something. Can you type?
Yeah, I know.
Robert Lewis Lancaster? Professor Robert Lewis Lancaster, yes.
When I once the Buddha asked, once I asked the Buddha said, where is the beginning of everything?
Buddha said, don't bother about this, you will never find the answer.
Yeah, but he answered it in an interesting way. Given 92 khatas or something.
No, because this is always been there. It's a cycle system. The worlds come, worlds get destroyed, it comes, it gets destroyed. So we can't find meaning in it. What we can do is we can find the meaningful to truth the now.
Understand?
Robert Lewis, Lancaster University. I'm going to show you something very interesting.
Okay.
Because all we can do, we are here now, we can do something meaningful now with this play.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing.
Yes. No, that's,
true.
Yeah.
Like, what is my why instead of why is that?
Yeah, because we cannot stop. The Buddha said that Buddhism in the global age of technology. Choose that one. So what Buddha said, this is always being there, the worlds come, world systems comes, they collapse, the life comes, they collapse, and this is always being continuing. And he said, if you want to go back, you will never be able to find the answer because your intelligence is not capable of even, capturing it. So Buddha said, don't waste time. First find freedom from stress, the suffering. Then if you want, you can take time. But otherwise, we are caught up here. So let's get out of this mess first. Yes, go to about 20-minute mark. Now, this professor lives in America.
It's an intelligent question because
now,
he's just accepting and then naive and then questioning things.
This professor, Robert Lancaster Lewis, he lives in America. We can switch off the light too. And he's actually, when I saw this, he's very sharp. He has studied, he's not a born Buddhist, but out of interest that it intrigued him, this has something. So he studied and now he can teach with certain, I think from his own realizations, from his own understanding. So the teachings are very interesting. He's giving this lecture to uni students. So about 20-minute mark.
Buddhist texts were translated into Tibetan, into Chinese.
We'll start from there.
Sogdian, they were
I
put
can't
on
get the
palm
right
leaves,
spot.
they were put on
It
birch
will
bark.
happen.
Manuscripts, we're still unfurling the birch bark manuscripts, as you can see. The only way to unfurl and deal with some of those manuscripts is to use the technology of brain surgery. You have to take it into the operating room with all the instruments to enroll these things. Buddhism allowed for printing. The first really huge printing project in the world was the Buddhist canon in the northern Song Dynasty of China. 130,000 printing plates were carved. Their canon is the largest in the world still. You took the Chinese Buddhist canon, it would be about 10 sets of the Encyclopedia Britannica if translated into English. That's because not only is the original portable, but the doctrine itself can be said by anybody. Well said, it's the Dharma. If you tell it like it is, That's the Dharma. So their texts have grown in size and will continue, and it's still an open canon. So now we come to our global age, and I've asked myself the question, in the past, their texts were portable, their people were portable, their relics were portable, their images were portable, but what makes Buddhism portable in today's world? Why is it that people are attracted to Buddhism in a global age of technology? Buddhism is suddenly having an enormous revival in Asia. I can tell you that from going to Vietnam, over there, and I was staying in one of the monasteries, and it was Ancestor Day, and everybody was there to light incense. I couldn't get into the place. I lived there, and I couldn't get through. It took hours for me to wait for these thousands of people to leave. So why is it? What makes it still portable in today's world? Well, first of all, I think that its texts can be put on the internet, and they are. They can be put on a CD-ROM. I helped put the Korean canon on CD-ROM. It's 52 million characters. It took us 10 years to do it. When we finished it, they had a big celebration in Korea in the Olympic basketball stadium, filled with people who came to witness this. And then they came carrying this large crystal stupa form. 6 monks carrying it, very heavy. And what's in it? The CD-ROM. They have made it a spiritual object. So Buddhism can spread to a CD-ROM as well as a manuscript or printing. It's still portable, even in our age. But I think the thing that makes Buddhism perhaps the most available to the present day world is the fact that it has some very unique features in its teachings. One of them is, it's the only religion that I know of that spends an enormous amount of time in its scripture talking about what? Talking about how we see the world physically. I mean, they're talking about the eye sending an impulse to the brain and the brain processing that impulse. That's why tomorrow I want to talk about cognitive science and the Buddhist. What religion would say this is the beginning of enlightenment is to understand how your senses work physically. If you don't know how your senses work physically and you don't know how the brain is working, then you don't have a chance. They're very open about it. So consequently, almost every time they open their mouth, the first thing they did is say, well, there's the eye, the ear, the nose, and there's the sense fields for them, and there's a consciousness that results from them. So perception became a big issue. And then the question is, of course, from them was to say, people accuse them of saying that there's no external world or it's illusory and all that. Buddhists never deny the external world. Never, I guarantee you. They never deny the external world. What they say is, you will never see it. You will never see it directly. All you can experience is the brain, chemical, electrical reactions to the data that comes from the senses, and that is all human experience is. You don't have it. We don't have the ability to go beyond that. So the illusion is not the external world. The illusion is our brain creates for us virtual reality, and it does it so well that, by golly, it really looks like you're there. If I didn't know better, I would think that this is a room full of people. So this cognition process for the Buddhists was exactly what I think what cognitive science says today. You have an external, light reflects off the eye sends an electrical impulse to the brain processes it in some way, and you have consciousness and say, I see you. Of course, I don't see you. I see that electrical impulse in here. That's the illusion. The illusion is, I see you out there. The reality, say the Buddhists, is we have to accept that I, whoever I am, see you, whoever you are, in here. Today in the world, what used to be private is now public. It used to be that I could say, I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what's going on in your brain. Guess what? More and more, I can know what's going on in your brain. I can hook you up to the machines. I can see the pattern of brain activity, the electricity, the flow of blood. I can see all of that. And I know pretty much that, aha, you just saw something because that part of your brain lit up. I know you saw it. Don't tell me you didn't. So what was once private is becoming more public. What is consciousness? Still a big question. Is it this moment where the nerves in the brain drop the little chemical from one to the side to the other? Is that consciousness? The Buddhists spent a lot of time thinking about this. If we don't know what's happening to us, then we don't know things as they really are. And how do we know things as they really are? We have to know our perceptions and how they come to us. So today, recently there was a conference on consciousness in Washington. They invited the Dalai Lama, he went. The scientists said to the Dalai Lama, we really like to test these meditators, but we don't want just, your grassroots meditator, somebody who's out here. We want the best, and you must have them. Will you let us test them? Dalai Lama said, sure, happy to. The meditators weren't too happy, but he said, you're going to have to let them test you. You're going to have to meditate while you're hooked up with respirators, with all of this gear. So this is one of them that's being done at Harvard. NIH is now funding this kind of support for this kind of issues, in which we are trying to understand what is it that happens when somebody meditates, because it now appears that concentration and mindfulness make an enormous difference in the way in which we live our lives, in which we learn, and how we handle life situation. And we need to know more about it. Our senses, of course, can give us pain. And so we say, I cut my finger. And the Buddhists keep saying, you understand that it's not your finger that hurts. But that's really, it's your brain that's hurting. Your brain tells you, ouch. And I say, oh, it's my finger. In Vietnam today, one of the most moving things for them is the fact that a Vietnamese monk during the Vietnamese War burned himself without showing any signs of pain. I don't know if you've ever seen the video of him burning, but it is incredible. He burned sitting in his lotus posture with his mudra for 3 minutes before he fell over. How did he do it? How could somebody, because other people tried it thereafter. A lot of people burn themselves, they commit suicide and they scream and writhe in pain. They should never do it. They don't know how to do it. They haven't yet, they don't have the right to do that. He could turn off the brain and the pain sensor in his brain. He could turn it off, undoubtedly. So somebody has said he could be fire. If he had ever thought, I am on fire, he would have hurt. Being fire was not the pain, it was the consciousness that I'm on fire. So the teachings of the Buddhists are in contrast to its practices, in some sense. Practice or such things as meditation. Meditation can obviously go very deep. We can modulate our sensory material, we can probably even modulate the structure of our brain. That's what they're trying to explore. Is that possible to do that? The teachings of Buddhism are very often connected with causality. You know, cause is one of the great crises of our time. We have two big crises in my estimation. One of them is cosmology and the other is causation. What is cause? Is it a force or is it a concept? That's the big question that we try to answer. The Buddhists have many statements about causality. They don't all agree with one another. So I'm not trying to present that there's one big thing. But for example, we in this country are faced with a big problem in our public school system and in our political system with the issue of first cause. What caused this world? And we've got the whole issue of evolution and intelligent design before us. It's not just a religious issue, it's a big political issue, it's a cultural issue, it's a social issue. We face it in our schools, we face it in all that we do. And I decided that it's probably become, the best thing I can say is that when it gets into cartoons, you know it's right in the middle of our social life. And so intelligent design in terms of what a lot of people now begin to look at is to say it's really hard to get the reality of the world and its creations into the intelligent design box. It just won't fit very easily. Einstein, of course, poor Einstein, you know, he really wanted a general theory. He really wanted to unite the quantum level with the molecular level. He said there must be a law which operates in both. How can we have laws which just go here? You move from the molecular to the quantum, and all the rules of the molecular world just go here. You move from the quantum to the molecular, and all the quantum theories just go here. He hated it. He hated it. He said, how could God do this? You've got to have, obviously we don't understand it. He felt that you have to have a notion of God. He really did. Einstein really wanted that. But the Buddhists, in terms of their causation, say, you're never going to get it. That's what they say. I'm just a reporter here. I'm not an enlightened person, so I don't know. But the Buddhists say this. They had a creation idea in India, Ishvara. Ishvara created the world. So the Buddhists said, well, that's a big thing to do. Pretty nice, create a cosmos. But everything has a cause. And if you don't believe that, you can't talk to the Buddhists. Everything has a cause. So they said, the cause of Ishvara would be greater than Ishvara himself. Let's worship the cause of Ishvara. But then there's the cause of the cause of the cause of the cause of, and you can never reach the end of it. So the Buddhists said, you will never find first cause. You will never find an uncaused effect. And that's why they are considered to be atheistic. He said, you just can't get there. And it's not worth your while to even try because you're not going to make it. They also said that causality is like a chain. It's links. And those links can cause all kinds of pain and suffering and struggle. And you can have a chain reaction accident. You know, in California, we're always having them. And the only way to do it is you have to break the chain of causation in that sense. But that's just one of their ideas of causation, that it's a chain of events. In another way, they were like Hume. They said, you infer that if there's smoke on the mountain, there's fire there, because you've seen smoke and fire in the kitchen. So you can infer it. But of course, we know that things that stand together are not causal necessarily. You know, the rooster crows every morning before sunup. So would you say, aha, I've got the cause of sunrise. It's the rooster crowing because it always occurs before the sunrise. So therefore, it must cause it. Relation does not mean causality. Cause, says Pearl at UCLA, cause is the greatest mystery of our time. We simply do not understand causality. And when we do, we get Simpson's paradox. Simpson's paradox is you get two things that stand together. And it's like when people said, to the joy of many of us, if men who drink red wine live longer, hooray, down to the wine shop immediately to buy red wine, right? Then somebody comes along and says, no, men who drink red wine are richer, have a better diet, and better health care. That's why they live longer. It ain't the wine. In fact, men who are richer, have better health care, have better diet, who don't drink wine live longer than those who do drink wine in that group. In other words, Simpson's paradox says you add a third element and you get the opposite result. It's like the one that Pearl uses at UCLA. He said, boys who smoke get higher grades. Boys whose mothers smoke get lower grades. You add the other element and you get a complete reversal, because standing together doesn't mean a lot. So I've tried to think about Buddhist karma. Am I just a prisoner of karma? My past is affecting me and creating it. So I've thought, in one way, karma is like cellular automata. That is, you start out with some dots, you have a rule, the dots follow that rule, and you have all kinds of patterns that begin to emerge. And this is cellular automata. You can have beautiful designs that emerge because you say, where you have a black one in the next line, make it white, where you have two blacks, make it two whites. You write all these rules, and a man named Wolfram, who invented the wonderful software called Mathematica, Wolfram has run cellular automata through his computers for something like 12 million times, and he comes up with swirls and tree forms, and he says the whole world is just made up of cellular automata. We have rules, the rules are being observed, they are slowly emerging. Karma is a little bit like cellular automata. You do something, and the rule says you've started something, you set it in motion, and you'll get a result. And that result will be, you would think, predictable, wouldn't you? Cellular automata, like Rule 123, you cannot predict. Isn't that interesting? You got a rule, and you can't predict what it's going to produce for you. So here you've got three different things. They all started out with the same dots. Just change the rule, and what do you get? Very great differences. So in one way, the karmic causal relationship in Buddhism was to say, yeah, you do something and it sets in motion kind of natural laws, and certain things will result, but you can't really predict what they're going to do because it's one to many. You can't predict. The Buddhists, I think, have also said that, and this is something which we're just now beginning to deal with, they've said it's endlessness that we live in, endlessness. And we're only beginning to understand what endlessness would really mean. If you write an algorithm for endlessness, anything is possible up to about 99.8%. That's why they talk about parallel universes. In endlessness, 50 trillion billion years of activity, the mathematical probability that you will get a repeat is very high. So when you deal with endlessness, it's another issue. You're into a different world in one way, but that's the world that we face. So the Buddhists love to use the Hall of Mirrors. They love fractals. They loved all of that complexity to say, this is really what it's like. It's multitudinous, it's reflective, it's like endless mirrors. We are dealing in a world in which we are trying to figure out what causes what. So if you get endless mirrors, which one causes which? How do you deal with causality when you've got this kind of issue? So the Buddhists came up with the idea that what we have is interactive causality. Each crystal reflects all others and is in turn reflected by them. That is, we live in a holographic world. And this world that's holographic is that we are in a situation where the Buddhists say we have multiverses. Buddhists were talking about multiverses over 2,000 years ago. We're now beginning to face it. Do we have a universe or do we have a multiverse? Do we just have this Big Bang universe of ours? So one of the issues which the Buddhists have always said about endlessness is, if you want to make patterns and you want to make predictions, you got to draw a box and put your data in that box, because you can't make a true pattern unless you have all the data contained therein. You can't have a software written that is larger than the data. If you've got endlessness, you can never know the pattern. You never can know it. So the Buddhists had their cosmology, and their cosmology was this. We in the West have fought with whether or not the Earth is the center of the universe, whether the sun is the center. The Big Bang and going out there to the cosmos. The Buddhists say this: there are multiverses. They recognize that. They say this is just one. This universe is contained inside another one. And it's so big, we'll never see it. We'll never even know it's there. We're like an atom and a grain of sand on the beach of that bigger universe, which encapsulates us. And there's one that encapsulates it, and one that encapsulates it. And so when you say large and small, what do you mean? Large with regard to all of it? Am I large in terms of this little ant on the floor? What is large? What is small? These are all relative terms. They're just conventional. We just have to have something to live with. So the Buddhists say, yes, you can do that. But you have to understand that we live in a continuum that we do not know where to cut off and draw a pattern from it. Now, does that leave us Buddhists in a situation which a lot of people feel our modern age of cosmology and causality is leading us, where we will have only relativity, we will have no way to determine our ethics and morals, we'll have no way to decide how to live because we have done away with any idea of centrality. We have put ourselves in this situation of a continuum that's endless. And I think that Buddhism is portable in the modern world because it says, first of all, we've lived for over 2,000 years without any idea of a first cause, and we've had ethics, we've had morals, we've lived a good life, we've enjoyed it. We've had the idea that we are just in a continuum of multiverses, but we've had morals, we've had ethics, we've had a good life. We probably really need to hear what the Buddhists have to say in a global age of technology to say to us that if we are fearful of relativity, and we are fearful of multiverses, and we are fearful of the fact that we just can't tie causality down and make sense out of it, that we then are going to be left bereft, chaotic, without anything to live by. Here's a religion that says yes, and how do you do that? And basically, this is their answer. We are in this room. If we tried to write the history of why we're here, and the history of everybody in this room, and how you came to be here tonight, we'd never reach the end of it. We'd be writing for centuries, tracing every single thing. And if we said, why are we here? We're here because of the Big Bang. We're here because our parents saw each other and got married. We're here because I got in the car and drove here. But you can never fully get the whole history of the cause for this event. But the Buddhists say there's one thing you should know, and it's crucial. We are here. Whether we know the history of it, we must always be aware of the moment, because it's that moment that is the magic and the secret of life. This moment is sufficient. Whatever caused us to be here, it happened. We know that. We are here. And that's why the Buddhists keep saying, if you're somebody who's hit by an arrow, you're not going to stand around and say, wait, before you remove that arrow, doctor, now tell me what kind of wood it's made from, and who made it, and how did it get shot from the bow? And no, you say, the sufficiency of the moment is, I got an arrow in me, and for God's sake, pull it out. That's what we want. So for the Buddhist and for meditation, and why do you meditate, and why do you try to, and how do you live in this world of complexity and chaos and inability to pattern it? Understand that the moment you return to the present, this moment, you're centered. This moment for the Buddhist then becomes a sacred moment. It's that moment of complete sufficiency. Nothing else was needed. Whatever it was, it's been done. And what was done is already past. I know that. So I feel that the Buddhists have a lot to say about the modern age. I think they have a lot to say in our age of technology. I think they have a lot to say in terms of how to handle this complexity in which we live. And their teaching is very simple. Perception, causality, and the fact that we live in a multiverse of cosmos. That's our state, but so is this one. Thank you.
I actually have two questions. The first one is with the book by the Dalai Lama, who co-authored it. I think it's called The Universe in a Single Atom, which kind of blends a lot of these science, the discoveries in science over the last 100 years with Buddhist thought, specifically with the nature of reality, randomness, etc. And my second question is, I think it's a wonderful gift, all the work that you've done. I didn't know who you were before I came here, but in terms of putting Buddhist scripture into a form that is accessible, my question then is, how does that interact with the need for communities of people to study Buddhism, interact with it, have some kind of community in which to learn Buddhist texts, have a teacher, etc.?
I've not read that particular book, but I've heard the title. I admit to you, I have not read it. But I'm sure probably it said some things similar to what I said tonight. With regard to the role of digital work, in 1988, I was sitting on my deck. I lived at the beach up in Northern California. I was sitting on my deck and enjoying life. And then the thought came to me, my karma is to be born in the digital age. That's my karma, and that's your karma. It's all of our karma. And I suddenly said to myself, I don't miss it. This is a turning point in human history. This is equal to the invention of writing, the invention of printing, the invention of paper, and this is it. And I had an experience, I helped a project where we put into the internet historical maps of Japan. And we'd had that collection, 400-year-old maps, really paintings from Japan at Berkeley for 50 years. During 50 years of time, 25 people registered to use that collection. When we put it on the internet, it helped that the New York Times made it a front page story, but when we put it on the internet, we had 27,000 hits in the first 24 hours. And since then, we have had over 2 million hits. Nobody can stay outside of this media. If Buddhism is to be a portable religion in our time, it's got to be there. And it is. The Buddhists are ahead of almost everybody else in many ways. If you go in and you put in Zen, you'll get more hits than you'll get if you put in church. It's amazing, isn't it? So I firmly want to allow people to have access. We put our material online. I insist that everything I do is made free. I do not believe in putting barriers between ourselves and what's in the internet. I have decided that as a professor, I have been paid to do my research by the people of California and from my federal grants from the people of the United States. And I firmly believe that everything I produce, as well as everything that every other professor produces under such circumstances, should be made free, without intellectual property copyright, and made available to the world. I feel that very strongly.
Okay. All right.
That's great.
So we have answered some of your questions.
I really love Buddhism, totally. But it's just that's just a curiosity. It's a curiosity. It doesn't change my life, and I'm right into the moment because and I love everything you said today, and so it taught me so much.
Welcome.
It's amazing, really, really amazing.
So let's practice and be egoless, so we can help others who are suffering with the ego to find peace.
To be a monk is to devote your life to Buddhism. What is
Not really. Be a monk means you have realized that it's fruitless to just hang around. So you just want to lose yourself. You can't do it as a lay person.
Right.
Because you will be tied to this, tied to that, you can't even move. So what will happen in this journey, then you will realize when you renounce, that's much easy. You renouncing the ego means you have to renounce the things that you're holding on to too.
Right.
Monk or a nun means a renunciant. So then their journey to liberation is in the freeway. No traffic light. And then they are easily accessible, available to anyone and everyone. You see, they are not in any bondage.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
Total freedom.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
So it is realization and at the same time putting it to action. So it reduces our stress, the burden, and you find more peace and ease and more elevated in your energies, and you really feel it.
You do.
We have more selfless thoughts, like we practice that regularly. Does that mean now parasympathetic or like sympathetic nervous system will get stronger?
Parasympathetic will get strong.
Yeah, so that therefore that system will come into play more like autonomously rather than the emotional version of ourselves.
Yes.
So when you're having a chicken moment, which happens, we're all human, what is like, is it just be aware I'm having this moment, stop, and then reverse that thinking to let's listen to everyone around me, second listen to the world, like just really try and consciously flip that switch?
Yes.
Because I find sometimes when I get into that, it's hard, even though you want to, it's hard to get out of that right state. So it's difficult because the chemicals are going, it's very difficult.
Yes.
Physical.
Yes. So this is why you all need to be aware not to give in to the chemicals. After the chemicals take over, they don't have a brain, they will create chaos.
So we got targets about 9 seconds before you.
Yes, so it will happen. Yes, so if you can be aware of within that 90 seconds, you can stop flaring it up.
So you got 90 seconds.
Yes.
9 seconds. 90
seconds. So you have 90 seconds. In that, if you can realize this, there is higher chance to cool down, calm down before it really flares up. So the first thing is, if you are still in a stage where you get emotional, recognize that, be aware of that, and then consciously relax. Either take deep breaths or sit down, drink some water, take measures to relax.
So deliberate thinking, deliberate talk, deliberate thinking.
Yes.
To be deliberate thinking, deliberate talking.
To cool it off.
Yeah, in everything.
Yes.
You're thinking deliberately.
Yes. And then when it's calm, you go back another step and find out what type of a thought that gave rise to this mess. What created it.
Yes.
So then you will see the thought, the I hiding in it. The selfishness. Self-centered thing is right there. So now you know where the problem is. So you get rid of it.
Yes.
That itself will settle the problem.
Yeah.
And learn from this and continue to practice the selfless way of thinking, speaking, acting. So these other patterns will get lower, slower, and less frequent. So you will have more peace than the more moods. So you need to work at that end, and at the same time you have to work here too.
Yes.
To realize this. If not, you will only be cooling off every time. There's a fire, you put water. Fire, you put water. You will be so tired. Never ending. So the wise people, while you're attending to that, you need to look for the cause. What created it, and you will take care of it. And this is what we call the meditation. Taking time to reflect, taking time off from everything else. Just quietly, either sitting, walking, standing, doing whatever not, but you're not busy, you're not engaging, but you're totally focusing like you're watching the drama out there, watching here, what type of thoughts are going here, there, everywhere. You will see from the past, it carries the garbage, it goes to the future and finds some garbage. So either you're always regretting or sad about what happened, or you have anxiety worries and comparing and competing and wanting. So both ends, if you bring all this garbage from there, no peace. This is why it's important to ground yourself in the moment and recognize what's going on. Then you can liberate yourself. So more you don't entertain these thoughts and you ground yourself, slowly, these thoughts will come less frequently. You will have more peace, more purify the mind, more less speed. More stability. And one day it will come, it will be like a part. Only if you want to think, you will think. If not, the mind is quiet. Isn't that desirable?
Yes, absolutely.
Such quietness.
So if someone's attacking me personally, you need to stop people, even if I take a person back to my ego.
Yeah, why take it personally?
Take myself out and say, well, it's just their shit. Sorry, their chitta and whatnot coming out.
Yeah,
And blaming me. Is that right?
yes, there are few ways of looking at it. Many ways of looking at it. One way is what you said. You leave the problem in their hands. They have a problem, they are emotional, they are releasing their stress.
Yeah.
So may I not personalize it? If I personalize it, then it becomes my problem.
Yeah.
So as long as you let it be their problem, you don't personalize it, it won't affect you.
It's only good when you react to create that emotional.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also you can go one further step. Okay, they are so angry, they are so upset, so they are releasing their energy. Oh, instead of he shouting at someone else or blaming, it's better that he does it, so I can, now that I know, I can bear it and not get upset. Sadhu, sadhu, may I be the Bodhisattva to save others, because otherwise he will go for others anyway, to go someone. So you can also think in that way. Also you can think, Ayo, why he's talking like this is he's so emotional and he must be so stressed physically, mentally, so much suffering going. May he be free from that anger, free from that stress. May they find comfort, peace, happiness. May they be well and happy. You wish them well with loving kindness and compassion.
So how would I, like, I'm coming from teacher's hat now, my teacher's things, because children obviously follow, and this is one of our biggest issues. So in terms of transferring that into, say, a child's language for them, you know, because that's where it starts, that learning to not take offense and use that to become a social thing. So how can I say that to a kid? Oh, it's his own shit, don't worry about it.
Not
it's like how do you,
yeah, I think it's better. It's still, you know, that's okay to throw it out like that if you can wipe it out, but still we have the arrogance in that. So the best way is to bring the loving kindness. You must think, this kid must be going through a lot at the house. Maybe no one is showing him loving kindness. No one has shown the softness. No one has showed him about the respect. They are coming from a very rough background. They must be going through rough experiences. That's why they are spitting out those things. That's why these behaviors are. May I be a mother to him?
but
May
I
I
be
be
a teacher, but I can't tell the other child that, oh, this kid gets bullied or my mom and dad.
You are saying to that.
I'm teaching the children this concept, is what I'm saying. Like, I'm learning it myself, but if I was to transfer this skill.
Yeah, you can tell the other child anyway to look at from a loving, kind way, thinking that that kid must be going through a hard time.
Okay.
So we must have a lot of space. We must give them a lot of understanding and have patience and loving kindness, generosity, not get angry, but let's wish, may they settle, may they be well and happy. May they be free from anger. So that way, that person doesn't personalize. They, in fact, wish them, bless them. So they are going to be more cool and relaxed. So even that one throws something at them, they can be like this and you know, avoid it, not throw it back at them. That's the thing.
They pick up on that, like the example that you gave with the animals for the tigers or whatever you feel, then that sort of generates out. Yeah.
Yeah. So cooling the system, we need to do things to cool these people. Now they are so heightened and all the time stimulating themselves and all the time being aroused. The system is hot. You only need to put a slight thing. That's the thing. Too much TV, too much games, too much pornography, too much bam, 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 bam. Too much sugar, too much stimulation.
Would you like, when I come out to Dandelion, I'll make some nice foods, some vegetarian foods?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's nice. It's delicious.
We call it dani. It's what we call practicing the generosity, looking after the renunciants.
Well, I thought you teach a lot, so you need to eat.
You're
You're a great teacher. You're very funny too, actually. I like the way you enjoy it. You're very funny too. You could almost be a comedian, like, you know. You're very funny. That's great. I really loved it. I really, really loved it.
Huh?
Do a TED talk.
Yeah. Well, we started the podcast. And we're going to
Thank you. All right, okay. So we will wrap it up. Huh?
She comes many months before she went to the bathroom.
Anyone in the Zoom, do you all have any questions? Did they have any?
Gone.
No, all gone. Okay, good. All right, so we can wrap it up.